right, was anybody gone for the group test that needs a blank one? Alrighty, please let me know as I'm going through this if you have a question, because this is going to help you study for your test. Now remember, maybe you got it right, but you need to ask yourself for each question, do I get this? Can I do this by myself? Or did I just get a good grade because my group helped me with this one? So self-assess every question. I know how to do it now, or I still need to work on this. Yeah.
When's our test?
Your test is Tuesday. Here we go. Number 1, plot ABC. So I've done that in red. You just plot the original points. Then complete the transformation listed below. So this is what I have to complete that says dilate about the origin with a scale factor of 1/3. We do nothing with this O. That just means we're dilating about the origin. What we do is we take every X and every Y and multiply it by the scale factor, which is 1/3. Every X and every Y multiplied by 1/3. On a quiz, I cannot help you with a calculator because we should be calculating things on the notes, in the homework, on the review, on the group test tomorrow or Monday. So Tuesday should be at least the 6th time you've typed some things in your calculator. I know we've done fractions before, so make sure if you have a fraction, you know how to type it in your calculator, so you're not asking on the day of a quiz. So if you want to practice, go ahead and get your calculator out. Type in this first one, -3. Now, these you can do in your head, but you can't always, so let's practice. -3. We're about to multiply by a fraction, so I would hit parentheses. 1, the divide by key is all you use for the fraction. 3, close the parentheses. We should get -1. Then you would type the next one, 6, parentheses, 1 divided by 3. You should get 2. Any questions on the fraction and calculator part? Let's talk about how to turn fractions, decimals into fractions. Everybody on your calculator, type in, it's going to give you a random fraction, type in 6 divided by 7, enter. 6 divided by 7, enter. My calculator says 0.857142857. It goes on forever and I just can't see it. If I want to turn that decimal back into a fraction, here's how it works on these calculators, the graphing kind. I'll get to that. You would hit math, which is right below the green key. This is for this kind of calculator, the graphing kind. You would hit math, which is right below the green key. Your first choice is fraction. So you just hit enter. You might have to hit enter one more time. It will turn it into 6/7, which was the original fraction. Some calculators have this button, which is like fraction to decimal button. See if you can find that. And then it should take it back to 6/7. Everybody do that now. Raise your hand if you want some help. Be looking for an F to D button. Jane, did you find it?
Yeah.
Good. Anybody else need it? Did you find it? Yeah, so the green one. Yep, you got the green. 6 divided by 7, enter. Second. Green one, enter.
Okay, so
There you go.
in our defense, Peacock did tell you guys last year many times and you just didn't listen.
Yeah.
That sounds believable.
All
All right. Anybody else need me to look at their calculator? Please don't ask on a quiz. You should have practiced this several times. So now I'm going to take every X and every Y, multiply by 1/3. Some of these we could do in our head. Then I plot these new points here. Make sure you're labeling every group labeled except for one all day. So very good on that. There's my answer. I've graphed it. I have written the points. That's what you'd have to have for 3 points. Number 2, if 2 polygons are similar, their corresponding angles must be congruent. Angles are the exact same. If two polygons are similar, their corresponding sides are proportional. Not perpendicular. Every triangle doesn't have perpendicular sides, proportional. Remember when we do this stuff? If I'm trying to show I have this, I want to show an angle. Angle 1 congruent to angle 2, maybe corresponding. Look, right there, I said angles, congruent. When we talk about sides, we do the sides are proportional, which you did on a different question on the quiz, but you forgot what this is asking. If figures are similar, for example, here's a good one. I have two similar figures. Their angles are exactly the same, congruent. The sides are not, they're proportional, a third smaller, a fourth smaller, or whatever. So angles are always the same size, which we say congruent. Sides are proportional. That was on a previous quiz, and there was a word bank for that, but not on this one, because you've already quizzed on it. Number 4. This statement's going to be really important. It says find the scale factor of BCDE to WXYZ. This is the original. This is the prime. Label that, please, if you haven't. Put your hood down. There are no primes in the picture. So you're like, ooh, which is the original? Which is the after? It tells me I'm going from here to here. That's how I know. From here, that's the start, to this one. So that's the ending one. So maybe in your picture, label this figure P, the original, and this one P prime. Now we're ready to begin scale factor, which we know the formula for scale factor, P prime over P. So let's pick a number from here. We don't want to pick the angle. We want to pick a side. So I'm going to pick 6. Now, which should I put with 6? Don't just guess. Use this. 6 is XW. XW. That would have to go, without a doubt, with CD. That's how I know for sure. Did I have to put the 6 on top? Yes, I had to put the prime figure on the top. Simplify that, I get 3/2. I did accept the answer of 1.5, which is 3/2. So a formula you'll have to know for your test. Scale factor, P prime over P. Now let's find XY. Since I already have two sides I've compared, let's use those. I already know those go together. And I want to now find XY. XY goes with, here's XY, that must go with CD. I need to put them in that order because I had originally put the prime figure on top, so I'm going to continue putting this prime figure on the top. When I cross multiply, I get 4.5. Questions on that? Let's find another side. Well, I need a proportion. I've already got a number from the beginning. Don't need to reinvent the wheel. Pick the two sides you've already compared. Now let's find YZ. YZ goes with, here's YZ, that must go with DE, 6. Cross multiply, you get 9. These are probably things we need to practice. Angle C. Remember, angles are exactly the same. So angle C matches up with angle X, and they're exactly the same, congruent. It's not half, a third, they're exactly the same. All right, number 5. I saw some people start to do this. Just be careful because there are only 2 triangles here. So we can't do 3 and nothing says that they're right. When you see images like this one has 3 triangles and they're all right. You can, if you want, and this might be helpful for you, you can divide this into 2 triangles. They're not right, but watch, I can do this. 7, 12, 16. And that goes with x, y plus 12, 19. If you missed this one or you struggled with this one, some groups left it blank. X and y, blank. Take your similar triangles and write them as 2. There are not 3, they're not right, but I can do it this way. Now I'm ready to compare. If I want x, let's go ahead and find x. X goes with 7. If I started with x, I need to start with this triangle again. I can pick either of these sides. Let's pick one that doesn't have a variable in it. 19 goes with 16. Cross multiply, you get 8.3. If you miss it, if you're not good at this, you don't know when to use the shortcut, I would say separate your triangles into 2. And for y, well, I kind of have my setup here, so let's go ahead and start with y. Y is here, and that goes with 12. Pick another side from this triangle, so maybe 19 and 16. That comes out to 2.25. That's not the only way to do it, but if we're struggling with the original way you were taught, this may help. Questions, comments? Do we feel like we can already do better on our test instead of how we did on the group test? Now remember, that's going to be Tuesday. That's several days from right now. So you're going to have to make sure you're ready again on Tuesday. 6, 7, 8, and 9. Determine whether the triangles are similar. If they are, state the method. Here's your choices. Explain how you know they're worth 3 points. So if you put no, that's not worth 3 points. The first one is no. Here's the reason. There's not 2 angles. There's not 3 sets of sides. There are 2 sides, but look at the order. This says the angle has to be in the middle. This angle is not in the middle. Here's the 2 sides. This is the angle in the middle. So even if the sides are proportional and you have a congruent angle, it's not in the middle. So my answer is no. The angle is not between the 2 sides to make it SAS. No, the angle is not between the 2 sides. If you put no, not enough information, that doesn't really help. What information would you have needed, or what was missing, what was wrong? The problem was the angle was not between the 2 sides. Number 7, I see both triangles overlap angle J. That's called what? Yell it out. Very good, reflexive. So there's one set of angles. Remember, with parallel lines, we always extend the lines and pick a transversal, a line that goes through them. Look at these angles. This is in the top right seat. This is in the top right seat. They're in the same place. That's called what? Yeah.
Corresponding.
Very good. I'm going to call it 1 and 2. Corresponding. Please don't call it angle K. There's lots of angle Ks. Kevin, you should have your group test out and you should be correcting all of it because I know it's not all right. But it wasn't done. Now my answer is yes, AA, and I have shown both sets of congruent angles. That's what's required for 3 points. Number 8. That's a given. Angle R is definitely congruent to angle M. It was told to me. We call that given. Let me extend these parallel lines and see what we have. I'm going to pick a line that goes through them. There's a couple lines that go through them. This would be a good one to pick. Because this angle in the top right seat and this angle in the top right seat go together. That's called corresponding. Angle L, congruent to angle O, corresponding. For a final answer of yes, AA. And I showed my work for the 2 sets of angles. Nine, I have 3 sides. Let's see if they're actually proportional. If they all got bigger or smaller by the same multiple. So I'm going to start with the smallest side. Smallest side, medium, large. I take my calculator and I just divide exactly like I have it written. That comes up to 2, 2, 2. Yeah, they are all in the same proportion. So with that work, yes, SSS. Do we understand what work is required for 3 points? So we're going to have to do. If you have angles, tell me which ones are alike and how you know. If we have sides, tell me which ones are proportional and how you know. Number 10, write a sequence of similarity transformation that maps ABC to XYZ. It's telling you in the directions which is the start. We're mapping that to XYZ. So this is the original, and this is the after figure. We know that a dilation has taken place, so let's go ahead and find our scale factor like we've done once before. Pick a number on the prime figure. I'm going to go with 1. Pick a number that goes with that in the original. 3. There's half of my answer. I'm going to dilate with a scale factor of 1/3. Many groups had that. Can you do it yourself is the question. Now what we want to do is we want to actually take this figure and make it smaller by 1/3. We know it's going to end up looking this size, but we don't know if it's going to end up here or where it's going to end up. So we actually need to do it. We need to take every X and every Y and multiply by 1/3. So this point, multiply every X and every Y by 1/3. -2, 2. And I'm going to plot those. There we go. That's where that figure ends up. You can see you're now going to flip it or reflect it. The line of reflection will always be smack dab in between the two. The line of reflection will be smack dab in between the two. So let's go ahead and look at these. How far apart are they? They're 5 apart. So I need to go halfway. I need to go over 2.5. 1, 2.5. This is where I want to reflect over. The middle. They're 5 apart. Half of 5 is over 2.5. When I go over 2.5, I end up at x equals 1.5. That's my answer. It's not the only correct answer, but it might be the shortest. Remember, what happens first goes here. What happens second goes that way. Not bad. You guys did a good job. 2 more. They're very similar. Find the value of x for the given right triangle. Be sure to show the proportions you use. I believe every group got this right. I'm still going over it in case you want a clarification. Here's the big triangle. Find the right angle. Right angle tells me the hypotenuse is here. That's 4 x's added to another x, which makes 5 x's. I don't know, and I don't know, so those are blank. This triangle. Find the right angle. That tells me the hypotenuse. Oh, it's blank. Tall side 4x, short side 16. Last triangle, find the right angle. That tells me the hypotenuse is blank. Tall side 16, short side x. Please, please, please double check your altitude. Here's what I mean by that. When you're done setting up your triangles, find the altitude. It should always appear here and here. My altitude was 16. 16 is here. 16 is here. That means I did those correctly. All right, let me set up my proportion. I'm going to compare these triangles. When I cross multiply, I get 256. When I cross multiply, 4x times an x is 4x squared. You have 2 ways you can solve it from here. If you choose to square root it, you would get square root of 256 is 16. Square root of 4x squared is 2x. For an answer of 8. Some people brought this 4 down here. If you're going to square root it, it's not going to be a 4 anymore. What I do is I divide by the 4 first. So I just have x squared. And then I square root both sides. Either way, you get 8. The hard part is this, so go slow on this, but show this and your answer. One more. Oh, by the way, sometimes you can get away with having the wrong numbers here because you're not using that triangle, but I'm still looking at those. So really try to get all of them correct. Here we go. Big triangle, hypotenuse. Let's talk about this. That's trying to tell you where x is. X is going from here, stop, to here, stop. Which is what I want. I want the hypotenuse, which goes to here and stops, to here and stops. That whole thing is x. And the short side is 6. Medium triangle. Don't know the hypotenuse. This side right here, is this x? Is it 4? No. It's x, which is the whole thing. Get rid of 4. It's this amount minus this much. Minus 4 of that. So that is x. Get rid of 4. X minus 4. Small triangle. Hypotenuse 6. Short side 4. Please, please. I'm trying to help you save points, find your own mistakes before you turn it in and I find them. Check your altitude. That should appear here and here. This is blank, which is why this is blank and this is blank. Now I'm ready to compare some triangles. I'll compare these two. They're in the same place. And these two are in the same place. Since I started with this triangle, make sure I start with this triangle again. Cross multiply, you get 9. You should now have a perfect group test.